Started my first company, my first CEO gig, I guess you could say, when I was 12. Started a software company in Canada that wrote and sold fixed asset management and accounting software to large enterprises across Canada. After spending most of my teenage years sitting in front of a computer writing computer code, I realized it was actually on the marketing and sales side that I was more interested and excited by versus spending the next 20 years writing computer code. Did an undergrad degree and eventually moved to Silicon Valley when Gartner brought me down as one of their first internet analysts at the sort of the dawn of the internet revolution. Did that for a few years and then moved to Adobe in San Jose, ran market intelligence and strategy for a few years. And then since then, as I mentioned, I've been primarily at early to mid staged SaaS software, B2B software companies, and bouncing back and forth between CEO roles and CMO, usually CMO/CPO roles. Currently, I'm CEO at an early stage industrial focused software startup. And given my heavy marketing background, I do have a marketing associate helping me with some tactical execution, but I'm wearing both hats today. I'm wearing the CEO hat and I'm wearing the CMO hat because it's very hard to put these hats down once you've started wearing them. Just one other thing about my background through that career that I mentioned, I've been at early stage startups all the way to larger SaaS companies like Adobe. One of my previous CEO gigs was as a public company, CEO of a NASDAQ listed company.
So let's go off script. I had a list of questions I was going to ask you, but you threw a spanner into the works when you mentioned you started a software company when you were 12, selling software to accountants. I cannot let you continue with this interview without stepping back. What's the deal there? Tell me about what you did and how a 12-year-old comes up with a software product, and how did you turn it into a business, and what happened to that business as you got older? I use that term
Yeah,
very
as I,
lightly.
as I got to 18, it's an interesting story, and I'll tell you the short version because the long one is also even more interesting over a glass of wine. Basically, this is at the dawn of the PC revolution in the early 80s. I ended up through luck, and that's the longer story, with one of the first Apple II computers in northern Alberta, where I was from originally. Even before I got that computer, I was writing computer programs on paper before I had anything even to type them into. I've been a computer geek since almost before computers, one way or another. The town that we lived in, the local accountant also was an early computer geek. And he got some of the first IBM PCs ever produced into his office. And he literally called me down. And I rode my bike down to his office and he said, Blaine, I got these two PC things. What could I do with them? Because I was the town's computer geek, right? I looked up on the wall and I saw these giant sheets of paper that he recorded his clients' assets on. These are literal spreadsheets. This is where the concept of a spreadsheet came from. I said, your computer could do that, I bet. He gave me one of the computers to write the first application on. And of course, with feature creep and everything else, we ended up with a pretty rich system, which I then took to market and sold to large enterprises and accounting firms all across Canada, all through high school and into my undergrad degree. It put me through my undergrad degree. And that really began my focus in business, entrepreneurialism, marketing, sales, and was based on my geekness, I guess you might say.
You must have been quite the salesperson and marketer, because you're a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a
Yeah.
15-year-old, and you're selling to adults working at enterprise companies. Did your accountant act as your sales front, or did you do the sales yourself?
No, I did it myself. And the funny thing was, of course, this was before the internet, before you had web pages and order forms and where you could do all this remotely. On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog, right? This was before the internet. I took out print ads in the Financial Post and the Globe and Mail and national publications that Canadian business people would read, little $3, $4, $500 tiny print ads with my home phone number on it. These accountants and executives would call my home. My mother would answer the phone, say, Blaine, it's somebody about the fixed asset management system. I'd run down and take the call, get the person's info on the phone, mail them this set of floppy disks along with an invoice. They'd mail me back a check. And that was literally the pre-internet days of doing sales and marketing.
At the end of the day, what happened to the business?
The code base started to get pretty aged by the time I finished my undergrad degree. By that time, I saw that another thing was just starting to come on, this internet revolution. which was the next level, you might say, of the PC revolution that my first business was based on.